Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name's Luke Pace, and welcome back to everyone who's already a subscriber to the channel. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe so you can see more great interviews like the one coming at you right now. First time guest on the show, fresh off a title victory at TBA Muay Thai yesterday, I believe, is Hannah Banana Maple. Hannah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's great having you on the show. We'll get to the fight second because you're the first time guest on the show. I always like to talk about what got you into training. How long ago did you get into any of the martial arts, and what led you to where you are now at Indio Dojo, training with them, and of course, fighting primarily Muay Thai. So give us some background on yourself.
I started training at Indio for jiu-jitsu about 2.5 years ago. And then I did jiu-jitsu until about 2 years ago. I started Muay Thai also. So it'll be 2 years in May for Muay Thai.
And having stopped by once and got to watch their Muay Thai practice, I know Coach Jeffy is big into the Muay Thai. Coach Mikey is big into the Muay Thai, and Coach Jeff. So who are your main coaches? Obviously Danilo, a good buddy of mine, and just an incredible all-around human being. He owns and runs Indio Dojo and does a lot of the jiu-jitsu. Who are your main coaches? I know Coach Mikey does a lot of Muay Thai, and I believe Coach Uncle Jeff, as most people call him, at least that's what Evan DeRucci calls him. He does a lot of kickboxing as well. So who are your main kickboxing or Muay Thai coaches?
Danilo is the jiu-jitsu coach, and then Mikey and Uncle Jeff are the Muay Thai coaches. Nate Chambers was there whenever I first started, but he moved recently, so it's Mikey and Uncle Jeff now.
That's great. And what do you like about them as coaches? I know they have slightly different styles. So what are the strengths of the two coaches you train under, and what's it been like developing for the last 2 years?
Oh, they're incredible coaches. They know how to hone in on your skills for your specific body type. So I'm very tall and lanky, so they show me how to use my long guard and show me how to maintain my distance when I need to, or step in, throw knees when I need to.
That's great. And for people interested in knowing more about those two coaches specifically, I did an interview on the MMA channel. It's probably almost a year ago. You could go back and find it, but I think it's called Coaches at Indio. I might have even said Coach Mikey and Uncle Jeff, but it was just the three of us talking because I had got invited by Evan DeRucci and got to go and watch DeRucci and all those guys at Indio train. Got to interview those two coaches, which is fantastic. So how long ago did you take your first Muay Thai fight, and how did that go? You're 3-0, so I know you've won all three, but we'll get to the most recent fight last. So summarize your first two fights.
My first fight was September 17th, I believe, of 23, so a couple months ago. That one was in State College. I went against this other girl who was also making her debut. She was an incredible fighter. She actually knocked me down in the second round with a spinning back fist, like a really clean spinning back fist. But I came back in the third round and knocked her down, 8-counted her with a knee. I threw, I think, 83 or 87 knees or something in that whole fight. I went back and counted all of them. I threw a bunch of knees in that fight. And then, so I ended up winning that fight. I won the first and third round and lost the second because I got knocked down. What's really cool is she actually fought in that same tournament that I fought this past weekend, and she also won a belt. So that was pretty cool to see her do that. And my second fight that I had was November 11th, and that was at Stout for their fight. And I went against one of their 2-0 Muay Thai fighters. And I ended up winning all three rounds. It was 30-27 for the score at the end. Wow. She was super tough too.
And what's it like? Obviously, congratulations. What's it like coming off that Stout victory in November? What was it? What were you continuing to work on? And you're starting to pick up momentum. We'll talk about this fight. You took on an 8-2 competitor. So that's kind of a big jump, and it's also progression you want to do. Your debut was against a debuter. Your second fight was against a lady who was already established at 2-0, so that's a step up. And then taking on somebody who's 8-2 is obviously a huge step up. So what did you kind of work on after the November? Because you've been training, but as far as competition, you're still under 6 months from competing.
Oh yeah. I mainly worked on just volume, essentially. Some they just want me to throw more volume at a time instead of just going like one punch at a time or a couple punches and a kick at a time. So I worked a lot on that over the last couple of months since our last fight.
Sure, volume goes a long way. Break down the 3 round fight. If it went all 3 rounds, I don't know if it was a decision or a finish. So break down each round as you won the TBA belt yesterday.
Yeah, it did go all 3 rounds. I went to decision. I'm not sure what the score was at the end. They didn't say. Um, but I mean, we were both just throwing as hard as we could the whole time for each round. Um, I honestly didn't know if I was gonna win that fight just because she was incredible. She's an incredible fighter. I mean, she's 8-2 for a reason. Um, she had a ton of experience. She was throwing really hard, and I was just trying to counter and move as much as I could, throw as many kicks as I could. Because she was quite a bit shorter than me, so I had to figure out how to keep my distance with her, keep her at my range, and keep her from getting in.
And what was the coaching advice like between the rounds? You had 2 breaks, 2 rounds with the coaches. You don't really get a corner, obviously, after the third round because the fight's over at that point. So it's really round one into round two and round two into round three. But was it really them kind of giving you tidbits on how to continue to fight long, considering that she was a shorter pressure fighter?
They actually wanted me to try to clinch.
Ah,
They wanted me to engage in the clinch and throw a lot of knees, but I was only able to get her in the clinch once. She was really good at trying to stay away from clinching with me.
well, that makes sense given the fact that in your second fight, I think you said it was you threw 83 knees, or maybe that was
Yeah,
your
first
first
fight.
fight.
Yeah,
That was your
first fight.
first
Yeah.
fight. So obviously, I know Banana is a great nickname. Knee Machine might be a good nickname as well. But um, so as far as your confidence going in, there's a picture on Facebook of your hand being raised, which is always exciting. Uh, where did you think? Was it kind of like you said, it was a back and forth war? Were you
Oh
surprised?
yeah.
What was the feeling like when you were crowned the winner? And then also the belt, really nice looking belt, the first belt of your career. And I know having just interviewed and talked to who brought a belt back for the 247 lightweight title in MMA, and Evan DeRucci, who's up next in April to fight for the welterweight. He's been on the show to talk about how much he wants to bring back a belt. You guys are upgrading to a new gym. That was big news when Evan was last on talking about Danilo, setting up a new gym because you guys are growing. So what's it like being crown champ, bringing that belt back? And what were your emotions like when they said you had won?
Oh, it felt amazing to be crown champ. I mean, I couldn't have done it without all my teammates though. I mean, they're the ones that push me every day and help me get to where I am. Um, I was honestly shocked. I wasn't sure if I was gonna win that fight just because I thought she was throwing more volume, but the judges scored it in my favor. I was shocked.
Well, it's great that you won, and obviously part of the fight game is you don't know, and I understand there's times fights go the other way, and that could be disappointing. It's always a pleasant surprise. I think it also Muay Thai judging, and you probably know this, Muay Thai judging can and often does take more into account damage and power strikes. Like a lot of times, depending on how traditional Muay Thai judging is, sometimes when I got started doing broadcasting and stuff, it was with USKA Fight Sports. Shout out Gary Grant out in Allentown, and at the time it was Irv Othouse who was the owner of it. But some of the Muay Thai judges would talk to me, and I talked to them and ask, and sometimes in pure Muay Thai, punches aren't even really calculated a lot. It's like a lot of
Mhm.
people look for like the Muay Thai strikes, which are elbows, knees, and kicks, sweeps, those type things, because it depends on like how they judge. But I would guess if you said that she was throwing more volume, they were probably looking maybe for accuracy, damage, and power strikes, which is probably that would be my guess. Have they ever gone over the rule set? I know Muay Thai, for people that don't know, Muay Thai is judged differently and is a different sport than kickboxing. You can probably flow between Muay Thai and kickboxing, but kickboxing is usually more of a boxing focus. So it's judged more like boxing with kicks, which can be a little easier to understand for the boxers. Whereas Muay Thai kind of focuses on some of the clinching and some of those other things. So were you aware of how it was judged? And then obviously the bigger question, because you are champ now, is kind of how do you see you're developing from here? What are you looking to do as you continue on?
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be judged more as a Muay Thai fight. So like you were saying, Muay Thai fights are judged differently than kickboxing. I think kickboxing, every strike is scored the same amount. So like a punch is
Yeah.
scored 1 point, a kick is scored 1 point, knee is 1 point. Whereas with Muay Thai, I believe punches are 1 point, whereas kicks are, I think, 10, knees are 5, elbows are 5, I want to say. So even you have someone throwing a bunch of punches, but if you throw a couple of kicks that land, you're gonna score way higher than the person that's throwing punches because they score more.
Well,
So
there
yeah, I
you
knew it was
go.
gonna be yeah, so I knew it was gonna be scored as a Muay Thai fight going in, which was nice because the last two fights that I had, I think were scored more toward a kickboxing
Gotcha.
kind of style.
Well, as you develop as a fighter, you'll find, like that it's always important to kind of know and then sometimes even re-ask. I've been in a ton of fighter meetings. There's no such thing as a dumb question in fighter meetings. And I've seen fighter meetings where the referee explains a rule that the fighter was assuming it would be under a different rule set. Less in MMA, although sometimes in MMA it can be about like what's down. Is it two fingers down? Is it a hand down? Is it an arm down? Is it load bearing? That's the one. And foot stomps I've seen debated, but Muay Thai kickboxing, that rule set can be massive depending on
Yeah.
where you are. So it's very exciting. What do you want next? Your first fight was September. Here we are, just barely into March, and you're 3-0. So do you have a tournament coming up? Do you have another just one-off Muay Thai fight? Kind of what do you see for yourself going forward?
I don't have anything set in stone right now. I know I want to do there's another big Muay Thai tournament called WKAs that's in Delaware in at the end of August every year. I really want to do that. Um, I would love to fight again before then too. I like to stay as active as possible. So if I'm not doing a Muay Thai fight, I'm competing in jiu-jitsu. So as
Okay.
much as I just want to stay as active as I can.
Well, that's a great blend for you to be kind of working on two separate martial arts, jujitsu and Muay Thai. At some point, that could blend itself well to MMA, but you've got your two focuses right now. When I was running an MMA gym outside of Philadelphia, we would compete every year at the WKAs. It's a great tournament. Hopefully, you get a couple more than just one fight, but tournaments oftentimes WK is no different. They're great, but it really comes down to who is in your experience class and who is also in your weight class. And so even there, that I can't guarantee anything, but certainly seems like a great thing. As a future plug, I don't know when it will happen, but I know 247 with the Sunny Days Event Center venue, which has been announced for 247 Fighting Championships. They have said once they're up and running in the venue, they're going to hold more than just MMA. And they've specifically said, I'm not talking out of turn, this is out there on podcasts. They have specifically said that they will at some point in the future hold just Muay Thai events, kind of like Stout has done. And so that will be super exciting if it could be kind of a local fight for you, just like a lot of the guys out of Indio Dojo bring big crowds. And one-off fights like that are nice. Tournaments, you don't usually get as many crowds because, it's more of a tournament atmosphere. So that is really, really exciting. Super glad to have you on. I know you are still very much new and an up-and-comer, but you also have a sponsor, which is exciting as a 3-0 new to the scene fighter to have a sponsor. So let's talk about your sponsor and what it feels like to have somebody supporting you in your fighting journey.
Yeah, sponsored by Juniper Grill. A huge shout out to them for helping me get to the TBAs and be able to train to get there. Um, Their food's incredible. It's right in Murraysville. They have a couple locations. So it's Peters Township, Murraysville, and Cranberry. Um, yeah, incredible food. I've heard incredible things from other people who have been there too, not even just myself, just other people love it there.
Yes, I've eaten there myself, unrelated to your sponsorship, of course, but shout out to them. Very, very good food, very, very nice. A very, I would say high end. I'm not a gourmet person, but it's very good food. And it's a notch above sort of your maybe your more casual dining. It's a little bit nicer and fancier, and I'm thrilled that they're sponsoring you. I believe you said that there was a friend connection. If you could give a shout out to your friend that kind of set that in motion. And for people out there that like Hannah or anybody from Indio Dojo or whatever, if you have a business that you think would be get behind a fighter, make the connection. Say, hey, because not all the time will fighters even know or think to ask a certain business or whatever. So let's talk just a little bit, because I think that's kind of some of the nuts and bolts that goes in to particularly amateur fighters staying longer in the sport, is be able to have some of those financial stuff taken care of.
Yeah, so two of my teammates actually work for Juniper Grill. So there's Beverly Ringling and her daughter Jillian. Both work for Juniper. Jillian actually fought in TBA this weekend too. She did a scrimmage match. It was her first time fighting. She's 16, I believe. So she's like just getting into it, and it was a great experience. She did amazing too. She actually had, I think, 5 or 6 fights, I want to say, scrimmages between Saturday and or Friday and yesterday. Yeah, so it was her first time like actually like fighting. It was really cool. She did great. Really proud of her.
Yeah, that's great. Shout out to them, not only in her fighting, but also in their willingness to kind of get you set up with a great sponsorship out of Juniper Joe. You've been super gracious to come on. I always like getting people fresh after their fight. This is about as fresh as we get. You had just won yesterday, so thanks for jumping on. Hopefully, I'll have you on many more times throughout your career, going forward in Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu, and maybe even in the future MMA. So thanks so much for coming on. Always happy to have Indio Dojo people on. Danilo is a great coach, as well as Coach Mikey and Uncle Jeff. So thanks so much for taking time out of your day. And I really appreciate it. You've been listening to Luke Payson with Hannah Banana Maple. Thanks so much for coming on. The champion, I should have said, champ of TBA tournament. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You got it. Take care.